In this video, we're doing the tutorial mission. I already have a video about the tutorial mission, and it still works, but it's quite old, so here is a new video for you guys where we are together completing the tutorial mission. What you will have to do if you already completed the tutorial mission is go into Preferences, Tutorial, and then Reset First Mission if you want to complete it again, and this is what I've done. You will also be able to gain a second Hackshop IP in case you lose the first one by resetting the tutorial mission and doing it again. So that's another reason you might want to do it. Like I said, I've already done this, so I'm ready. If you're just starting out, which you probably are if you are doing the tutorial mission for the first time, then you will have to go into the browser and go in search for mail. And grab any of these sites, doesn't matter, and then set up a email account. Otherwise you will not be able to receive the mission in your email. I've already done this, and the same thing, you might not need it now, but for later use you should also set up a bank account by just picking any of the bank sites and then register an account. So once you've done that, you are ready to start the mail program. Like so. You can also start it from the terminal, like this, mail.txt. And in here, we have the mission. They're telling you that they want you to hack steal the credentials for this user right here. And they also give you the computer, or well, the IP on which the computer resides. In order to complete this mission, you actually don't need anything except this the cypher tool right here. It's all done with social engineering, so you can actually have the player, or not the player, sorry, the NPC email you his password, and that, well, okay, no. He will email you a password onto his computer, and then you can steal his email from the computer files. But before we do that, even though it's not necessary, it's always nice before you start a hack to have some information about the network you're hacking. And in order to get that, you will have to have some kind of scanning tool. If you open the browser and search for shop, you can find such a any of these shops should work. Sometimes players mess with them, but usually, and by going into shop, you can find the nmap tool. I think you might also be able to grab it from the manual if you go into, that's not where we go, help, and then network commands, then nmap, and then here you have the source code for the nmap, and you can just build this, and that way you don't even have to buy it from the shop, even though it's free, so it doesn't matter. But this way you could actually get the nmap script anyways. I think you might be able to do the same thing here. Yeah, so you hit down here in other commands, you have the decipher as well, and the source code for the decipher. So you don't need to download it from the attachment. You can actually grab it from the manual as well. That is the case for many of the different commands used in the game. You can just grab the source and build them yourself if you want to. I'm not going into detail about that because that's not what we're doing in this video. Instead, we are going to download nmap. Save that to our home folder. Like I said, for this hack we also need the decipher tool, which has been attached in the email. That is actually something required to complete this mission. Well, if you're going to stay inside the game, that is. Okay. They gave us the IP, so now we can run the nmap, and since I've already put it in the folder that I am in, we can just use ls first to see. that both Nmap and the cipher is in this folder right here, and that is the same folder that you can see up here in the file explorer -home-hack. It has Nmap and the cipher. We would use Nmap, and Nmap needs a parameter, which is the IP. If you just run Nmap like this, it's gonna tell you how to use it, which is Nmap and then the IP address. We would just use Nmap, and then we'll Control-Shift-V to paste into the terminal the IP. And this will give us some information about the network. As we can see by this scan, there are 4 different ports that are open to outside the network. These ports are 2 SSH services and 2 FTP. We have the version number running here. That's not important at the moment because we're not actually going to hack these ports. We are going to trick the user to giving us the password so that we can log in. Then we have 3 different computers. So this is one computer. This is one computer. You can see that those 2 numbers are the same. 1.4, 1.4, that's the same computer. That means that this computer is running both an SSH and an FTP port that is port forwarded, while this computer only runs an SSH, and this computer down here only runs an FTP. I would say take a guess and say that the target that we want is this one right here, because it's the first one in the LAN order. 1.2 comes before 1.4, but we will have to check that when we start to hack. Okay, so in order for us to trick the user into giving us the credentials, we need to social engineer, and there are some templates in the mail for just that. So let's actually open another mail program. If you click on this pen right here, that takes you to the email, create new email, and in here you can select different kinds of social engineering attacks. There are a few that would work, or perhaps only 2 that would work to trick the users on this network. You could either do administrative action, or you could do login issues. I think both would work, but we are missing a crucial piece of information in order to complete these, and that is we need the admin's email or name. So, or maybe both, I don't remember. So in order to get that, you would use the whois command. Let's see here, did I close help? Yeah. So if you go into network commands down here, you can see that there is a whois command, and by using a IP address you can gain information about the network administrator on a network. So we'll use whois on the IP that we just scanned, and here we can see that it gives us some information. It gives us what domain name the network is registered to, and what admin is what an admin on the network, their name and their email address, as well as a phone number. And with these pieces of information, as well as the information that was sent to us in the email, which is the user's email and their first and last name, we can now compose a either login issues or administrative action email. Let's show both. So if you want to use the administrative action, then you would pretend that you are the administrator, and then you would send the email to the user you wish to scam, which is this user right here. You would just paste their email address, and then you would say that you are the administrator and use their name. Control Shift C to copy from terminal. And then we just paste that in here. And now we are pretending to be the admin, asking for their SSH username. So they believed us. They say, hello, this is my password. And now we have everything we need in order to SSH into the system. As well, we could do login issues. In this case, we would be sending an email to the administrator. So we use their email address, put that up here, and then we would say that we are this user right here. I am this user right here. And we sign it off with the same user name. So hello, I can't get into my workstation. It says that it's the wrong password. What should I do? And the admin believed us. He said, well, hi, I checked. Are you sure you used the correct credentials? And they tell us what our username is and what our password is. So these both of these methods would work. And as you can see, we don't actually need to scan the network because the tutorial mission always has an SSH server, and SSH servers can be logged into by just using the username and password. And we have those now because they were given to us in these emails. So I think it's time to SSH onto the server. Now, before we do, I want to check if I believe it's this computer right here. So let's try to SSH onto the other computer and see what happens. Just for the it's a good experiment to see if it would work. This requires us to use the SSH command. And if you go back into the manual, we can see that in, again, network commands and SSH, it gives us the usage. So you use SSH, the user, at the password, then the IP address, and optionally the port, unless it's the port 22. Sorry, 21. No, 22. Unless it's port 22, then 21 is FTP. Then you would not put a unless it's 22, you would put a port. So let's do that. SSH, and we got the username, which is the user that we pretended to be. And then we put add the password, paste that as well, and then the IP. Now, since I want to try to hack into the other computer, which I doubt it's this computer, but it could be, we're going to use this port number right here, which is the port for the second SSH server running on this network. And we try that, and it says can't connect, incorrect username password. So this user right here is not registered on this computer, the 1.4, but is instead registered on the 1.2 computer. Similarly, you could use the FTP command and try to hack into this computer right here, but I don't think that this computer has that user registered either. I think it's only the first SSH on the network. If you want to visualize this further, you could use a custom scanning tool. Let's just minimize this for now. We could just show that. Just a few days ago I made a video on how you can make a more advanced scanning tool. I don't have that script in this video, but I have a script that works in a similar way. And by just nmapping the network with a more advanced tool, we can see more of what the network looks like. here we have all the different devices on the network, including routers. So here is a router, here's a router, here's a router. All of them that ends with a 1 are routers. In this script they're highlighted with white text. Then you have a 1.2 down here, which means that this is not a router, this is a computer. And furthermore, it has a port forwarded port, FTP, which is this port down here. The default Nmap tool only shows the port forwarded devices, or well, actually the port forwarded port. So if you make a tool like this, you would be able to see more of the devices and ports on the computer. So all of the routers have port 8080, but they're closed, so you can not actually access them from outside the network. Then we have more routers and another computer, and this is the computer I believe we are supposed to be hacking. It's not explained in the email, but since all of the tutorial missions spawn with a SSH server, it would make sense for it to be the first SSH server on the network. Then we have another computer and a third computer, and this computer right here is the 1.4, which we can see down here. And we just tried to hack into this SSH server, but that didn't of course work, because this computer right here does not have the same credentials and users that this computer right here does. So we are going to now attempt to hack into this computer. And we do something very similar to when we tried to hack the use the login credentials on the 1.4 computer, and that is use SSH, the username at the password, the IP, but instead of targeting the port for this computer, we are targeting the port for this computer. And we can see right here that it's port 22. If the port is 22, you don't actually need to put any port at all, because that's the default port. But let's just put port 22. And now we have access. So, like I suspected, this is the actual computer with the user and the credentials that we are looking for. Okay, let's go back into the mission information and see what they actually wanted us to do here. So I need the credentials of this email. They want the password for the email. So we use the email and we send an email to this email, but we don't actually have the password. When I say use, we pretended to be that user and sent them. We both pretended to be that user, and we also sent the admin as the admin an email from that email address. So we need to get the password for this email account, and the credentials for this email is actually stored on the computer that this person uses. So if we just use, it's probably more visual to show it with a file explorer. We just, since we have shell, we can open the programs, and we are already in the home dash username, and it's actually, let's just go back. So this is the main folder with all the folders in it. And the file that we are looking for is always inside home, and then it's inside the username folder. So depending on what user you were supposed to hack, you can see here in the details, this is the person we want to hack, so you have to find that folder on the system right here. And inside this folder there's a config folder, and the config folder stores all the sensitive information that the user has. So for example, it stores the mail password, or both username and password, the mail credentials and the bank credentials. We're interested in the mail credentials, so if we look here, you can see that this is the username of the email, which we already knew, we used that already. And then it has a hash. This is a MD5 hash, and we can use the decipher tool, which you could pretend works like a rainbow table, which tests a lot of different passwords against a hashing function. And then if it finds a match, if it finds this hash right here, then we know what the password the user used to log in is. So what we will do is we will use the decipher script with this information right here. And one way to do that is to just use the file explorer that we opened and drag and drop the mail.txt into our own home folder. If this doesn't work, that means that you don't have permissions, writing permissions, and what you would have to do then is you have to look at chmod. That would mean that you have chmod at your system, because by default doing this is not going to be a problem. And also you have user access in this folder right here, because that was the login details that we got. You don't need root in order to do this. Okay, now we have the mail.txt, and now we can use the terminal. Well, let's not use that terminal though. Oops. We'll start a new terminal. And now we will run the decipher program. If you just run it, it should tell you how to use it, which is give it the encrypted file as a parameter, and then it will decipher what is in there. So decipher and then mail.txt. It will work. It will find it. You can either use the path for the file or just type mail.txt if it's in the home file already. But if you place it somewhere else, then you have to give it the full path, which would look like something like this: -home -hack -mail. Both works. And now it's cracking the password for us. And soon we will have the information that the person giving us the mission was asking for. I don't think you need to do it on the tutorial mission, because nobody's going to try to catch you. But what you would want to do is delete your logs so that you cannot be traced, because in other missions there is the admins will trace and catch you. You have 3 warnings before your game gets or your computer gets deleted when you are actually caught, but we don't want to risk that, so we are going to go into the main folder again, then into etc, and in here we have a password file, and this contains the root information, which I think we will need in order to delete our logs. That's usually the case. You could try to go into -var -system.log, just clicking on the system.log and removing the shell obtained, but I don't think that's going to work. No, we need permissions, so we will have to gain the root access on this system. You also have here connection established on port 22. This log should not be removed, because you need a once you leave the system, it's going to stay connection closed, and if it just says connection closed without a connection established, it looks strange and the admins will start to trace you. So just remove the shell obtained, and that's everything you need to do to not get caught. And I don't think you need to do it on the tutorial mission, but later you will have to do that. So we can't do it unless we have root access, and that means that we will have to do the same thing as you can see here as well. We have the usernames and then the MD5 hash of the password. So we need to figure out what are the real passwords, and you do that by running the decipher script with the passwords. So we will go into etc, and then we will use the drag and drop method that we just used to grab the password file and drag it over to our home system. Should work fine if your permissions are default. And then we will run again the cypher, but this time password. And here you can select which one you want. We want the root. Now it's deciphering that, which will enable us to remove this log, and that will make it so that the admins will not try and track us down. While we wait for that, let's complete the mission. Can actually close all this. Don't need it anymore. And he wants us to respond to him with the password for this email account, which we cracked to be action. So we'll just reply with action. And we got an email saying you've done well. If you want work, you can visit this website, and that's the Hackshop IP, where you will gain access to a lot more different tools and things that you will need, also missions that you can complete. So pretty much everything is happening here. You will also gain access to the meta exploit, which is a library that enables pretty much all the hacks in the game. So this is how you gain the complete the tutorial mission and gain the Hackshop IP. And before we leave, we want to use the sudo command to gain root access and then remove this log right here. So we'll use sudo, which is the command, and then if you use the flag s, it will if you just run sudo like this with a command, then it's just going to run the particular command, for example ls, or the command we just used, ssh. If you just run the whatever command you run, it's going to be run as root. But if you put the s flag, then it's going to stay in root, and all the different commands you use after that point will be executed as root. So a better example would have been to open the log log viewer with a root access. That's also possible. Just sudo log viewer, and then you would be able to do what you want. S, then the password. And now you can see that the outline of the terminal changed color, and that in the default theme it's going to change to red. That means that you have root access, and that means that you have full access to everything on the system. Now we can still not remove this file, and that is because this window does not have this different colored outline. So this window still does not have root access, and we can just close that and open another log viewer. And since that log viewer was opened with a root terminal, that means that this also has root access, and that means that we can remove the log, and now they cannot trace us. Then you just exit, and as you can see, the mission is completed. We have removed our log, and yeah, that's pretty much how you complete the tutorial mission. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next